What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful, delicious, smoky, tender, medium rare, amazing, ultimate steak sandwich. That's right, folks. In this episode, we're going to make our own focaccia, our own bacon onion jam, some Dijonnaise topped with a beautiful smoked medium rare seared ribeye. Coming up. This is a ribeye. Pat it dry. An absolutely beautiful ribeye, nice thick cut bone-in from my friends over at Porter Road. And I must say, this really is a beautiful piece of meat. I mean, look at the marbling, beautiful fat cap, nice clean bone. Not sure if you saw when I unwrapped it, but they did a really nice job wrapping this up in some extra thick stuff so this sharp bone doesn't pop the cryovac. And yeah, this is their cowboy ribeye, bone-in, super thick, just a beautiful hunk of meat. Very excited to cook this up. But before we do that, because it is such a thick cut of meat, I'm gonna go ahead and get this seasoned really early to get a bit of a dry brine going on. That way we get some nice salt going all the way through the meat, or at least part of the way through the meat, so we don't have a super salty exterior and a bland interior. And to do so is incredibly easy. Just grab yourself some Diamond Crystal kosher salt. That is my kosher salt of choice. And we're just gonna get a nice heavy coating all the way around. This is a very thick cut of meat, so you really don't have to worry about over salting it. In fact, we may even need to add some finishing salt at the end. But just gonna cover all sides, top and bottom, and of course, we're not gonna forget the sides. Gotta get that fat cap. To miss that would be a rookie move. Get some of this stuff off the table. And there we go, looking good to me. I'm gonna pop this on a wire rack, and then into the fridge this goes, uncovered just like this for the next few hours while we go ahead and get everything else ready. And if you're in the market for a big, thick, beautiful bone-in ribeye just like that one, you're in luck because this week's video is sponsored by Porter Road. If you're a longtime viewer of this channel, I'm sure you are very familiar with Porter Road. But if not, Porter Road is an online butcher shop based out of Nashville, Tennessee that specializes in high-quality, humanely raised beef, pork, chicken, and all sorts of good stuff. They make their own sausages, charcuterie, bacon, the list goes on. And I'm a big fan of Porter Road. They are my go-to when I'm looking to try a new cut because everything they do is hand butchered, which not only means that everything is beautifully done, like that nicely wrapped up, perfectly trimmed ribeye, but also you're gonna get a lot of the offcuts and butcher cuts that you're not gonna find at your local supermarket. Hanger steaks, their Denver steaks are phenomenal. Beef cheeks, marrow bones, stock, picanhas, pig wings, and pretty much anything else you're looking for. And as I mentioned, everything is humanely raised, which is great, not only from a cruelty perspective, but also the quality of the meat really does speak for itself and is so much better than anything you're gonna get at the local supermarket or any other source of commodity meat. But other than the rare cuts, they also have everything you're looking for, like ribeyes, strips, their chickens are very tasty, and their pork is some of the best pork I've had. It's got such a deep red color to it, and is definitely worth checking out. Not to mention, all their beef is whole carcass dry aged. I've been shopping with Porter Road for a very long time, and I'll have a curated list of all my favorite cuts in the description box down below. And if you've never bought meat online before, I highly recommend it. You can go on their website, check out everything they've got, load up your cart, or sign up for a subscription service, and they'll ship it right to your door. Steaks and chops shipped fresh, never frozen, and it's really a great way to stock up on some high quality meat. So if you're looking to get some high quality meat raised by trusted farmers, humanely on pasture, shipped right to your door, head to porterroad.com using the link in the description box of this video. Or using my link, you can save 15% off your first order. Again, link in the description, that's porterroad.com. Or using my link, you can save 15% off your first order. Highly recommend it. Thank you, Porter Road. Next up, let's go ahead and get our bread ready for these eventual steak sandwiches. And we're keeping it real simple today with a classic focaccia. Starting off by going in with some warm water, some olive oil, some sugar, our yeast, and we'll wait a minute for the salt. Let's get this nice and whisked up and dissolved. And proceed to go in with a whole bunch of all-purpose flour. And for those of you that ever went to Friedman's, this is in fact the Friedman's focaccia recipe that we used to make every morning. Now we're gonna go in with our salt on top of that and some black pepper. And now we're just gonna get this all nice and mixed up. And after a few minutes of kneading, we should have ourselves a beautiful dough here. Into a generously greased bowl we go. Now I'm gonna cover this with some plastic wrap and let this rise for the next hour or so. And while we wait for that dough to rise, let's go ahead and bust out a bacon onion jam. Just a rough chop on a bunch of yellow onions. These are all going to dissolve down, so we really don't need to worry about getting them too fine, but might give them a once over just for any big chunks. Next up, 2 packages of some beautiful bacon. Just gonna cut this up nice and fine. Beautiful. And into the pot we go. And now we're just gonna heat this up nice and slowly to render out all that fat until we end up with some beautiful crispy bacon. Once nice and crispy, we're gonna try and drain off some of this fat. Once your bacon is strained, that is hot. Once your bacon is strained and drained on a paper towel, we're gonna go back into the pot with some of our, that is still very hot, where's my glove? Some of our bacon fat, seems like a good amount. And then in with our onions. And once cooked down a bit, looking nice and soft and translucent and just barely starting to take on some color, going with the rest of our ingredients, including some freshly cracked black pepper. By the way, I also threw in a big pinch of salt when I threw these onions and helped whip them down a little bit. Some thyme, some brown sugar, and a healthy shot of some bourbon. Ooh yeah, why not? And once all that has dissolved, cooked for a couple minutes, we're gonna go in with all of our beautiful bacon. I chopped that up extra fine. And now we're just gonna keep cooking this on low heat until it becomes a nice bacon jammy texture. Probably about 4 or 5 minutes. And after cooking down for a couple minutes, we've got this absolutely beautiful bacon jam looking, smelling so good. Onions have their natural sweetness. We've got the sweetness from the brown sugar. I can smell that little bourbon accent. I did end up throwing a little extra bourbon in there just for good measure. And this is just some beautiful stuff. But once everything has come basically to the same color, same consistency, our jam is done, but we're gonna finish it off with a little balsamic vinegar just to add that little bit of extra how you doing to this sauce. Oh, jam. Give that a nice mix. Be sure to give it a taste and adjust as you see fit. And our bacon jam is done. I'm gonna set this aside. I'm not gonna fridge it, but I'm gonna let it cool down to room temperature. And just like that, our dough has doubled in size. Punch it down and out it comes. Boop. Beautiful stuff. Feeling very nice, not sticking or anything like that. Then we're gonna go ahead and bust out our sheet tray and lube that up generously with some beautiful olive oil. This is why focaccia is so tasty, is all the oil that goes into it. It's basically like making your own pizza crust. Give that a little spread around, oil up the sides so nothing sticks. Oil up my hands, and we'll grab this bad boy and pop it right on in. And now we're just gonna stretch it, trying to make it as even as possible, and just kind of stretch it and push it so it fits this sheet tray perfectly. Getting some flashbacks from 2015 right now. Like I said, I used to make this every morning. That's how my 5 a.m. shift started, making like 15 of these loaves. Beautiful bread though, very easy. All right, now that it's all shaped out, looking great, we're gonna set this aside, cover it up with plastic wrap one more time and let this rise for probably about 15-20 minutes just so it puffs up a little bit, which gives us plenty of time to whip up the topping for our bread, which is some good old-fashioned rosemary salt. If you know, you know. Super easy stuff. Into our food processor, we're gonna go in 1 cup of some flaky Maldon salt, followed by the zest of 1 lemon, a couple cloves of crushed garlic, and some fresh rosemary, and some chopped up sage as well. On the lid goes, we're just gonna pulse this, and then just let it run. And just like that, our beautiful rosemary salt is done. Oh my God, that smells so good. And that's like the quickest recipe ever. Love it. Speaking of quick recipes, let's go ahead and make a quick sauce for our eventual sandwich here. In this little bowl here, I've got a couple cloves of garlic that I chopped up real nice. And we're simply gonna make a little Dijonaise, starting with some mayonnaise. Whoop, beautiful, going Japanese, that's what I like. Followed by some Dijon. This is country style, so it's a little more chunky. Should be very nice, as much or as little as you see fit. Also gonna go in with a little bit of some white truffle oil, just because it's a steak sandwich, and that should give this aioli-esque sauce some wonderful flavor. I'm just gonna go ahead and get that nice and mixed up. Be sure to give that a taste and adjust as you see fit, and our little Dijonaise is ready. And now that our focaccia is looking nice and plump, it's time to finish this off. So we're gonna start by putting some nice big dimples in there. That's just gonna help this thing cook evenly all the way throughout. One last final chance to kind of shape it to the pan and get those classic focaccia little holes in there. Beautiful. Then we're gonna grab some beautiful olive oil, and we're just gonna give it a nice healthy drizzle all the way across. This is basically gonna deep fry in those little pools we just made and just be oh so tasty. And then of course, we're gonna top it with some of our freshly made rosemary salt. Just a nice finishing salt on top. And there we go. That is looking perfect to me. So now into a 425-degree oven this goes for about 15-20 minutes. So as far as cooking off these steaks go, we're gonna do a smoked reverse sear, which means we're gonna set this chud box up in a few different ways, starting by getting this grill basket in. That's for down the road when it comes time to sear this thing. Also, I've got all the coals pushed over to this side on the left, and I'm gonna take a nice healthy log like this and just throw that right on top. And then we'll go ahead and throw our grate back in there. So at this point, we've got our Chud box set up with some nice smoke rolling out of there. We've got a hot zone over here, a cold zone over here. We're rocking right around 250, 275. What we're gonna do is just throw our steak down right there. And basically what's gonna happen is we're gonna get all that lovely indirect heat and smoke at a nice low and slow temp to reverse sear this thing, AKA bring it up to temp, probably around 120, 115 degrees. And then we can take those coals, bring them up top into the basket and sear it off for that beautiful crust. One of the advantages of the Chud box, you can throw full logs down underneath, get a lot of smoke. And this is what our beautiful ribeye is looking like after a few hours of dry brining, looking absolutely lovely, and I'm very excited to get this thing going. So on the pit we go. We're gonna go bone side toward the fire and just keep an eye on the internal temp. We'll check back in. There's a snake in my boot. And just like that, out of the oven we come with this beautiful loaf of focaccia bread, looking and smelling absolutely fantastic. I let this cool down for a little bit so far, but we're not quite there yet. Lovely color underneath, smelling nice and oily, and just, beautiful stuff. So we're gonna let this cool down, we'll slice in when it's time to make sandwiches. After about 30 minutes or so, this ribeye is off the pit, looking nice and smoky. I pulled it right around 118, and clearly it has carried over quite a bit, which is making me a little bit nervous, but I think we're gonna be all right, because this is a beautiful fatty cut. But gonna let this cool down for a little bit, and it's time to get this thing seared off. And to do that, we're gonna open this bad boy up, pop out the grate, and grab all our coals from down below, and bring them up top. The beauty of this system is all the ash will fall through the holes in this grill grate, in this grill basket rather, leaving us with a nice hot coal bed to sear this steak off. Don't think it nice and hot. Oh, it smells so good. Now we gotta go ahead and get ourselves some wonderful pieces for a sandwich, roughly the width of the steak itself. That looks like a good sized sandwich to me. Beautiful. Start things off, we're gonna butter this beautiful focaccia bread, just for good measure. This sandwich really is all about building those layers of flavor. And now, onto the Chud press. Ooh, love that sound. Beautiful. And at long last, it is finally time to sear off this big, beautiful steak. Ooh, gotta love that. Just trying to build a good crust, folks, you know the drill. Ooh. Woohoo! Getting nice and toasty around here, folks. All right, let's pull that off. Love it. I think my grates are on fire. And after a long day, we've got a beautiful seared steak. We're gonna start by just taking this right off the bone. Ooh, that bone is not cold. And because we let this rest after the initial cook, we don't really need to let this rest after the sear. Ooh, right off the bat, incredible smoke ring on that ribeye. Perfect looking steak. I mean, what is not to like about that? Oh God, it smells so good. So smoky. I'm gonna cut these a little bit thinner than I normally would. That's because we're making a sandwich out of it, but still, oh, that is a sight of beauty. I gotta give this a little taste real quick. Oh yeah. That is phenomenal. So much flavor. All right, let's keep going. Beautiful pile of steak. But we're not just here for the steak, folks. Oh, that is so good. I think it's time to make a sandwich. Starting by going right down in the steak juice with our beautiful toasted focaccia. Then we're gonna go down with some of our thick Dijonnaise. Every sandwich needs a good sauce, I'm telling you. Next up, some of our bacon onion jam. And if you take anything away from this video, make it be this bacon jam, because holy hell, I have been just eating it with a spoon for the last few hours, and it is phenomenal. Next down, we're going with some chopped up baby arugula. Just gave it a fine chop, make for a better sandwich, better eating experience. You don't have lettuce falling out, and it'll still give us that nice peppery bite that Rocket is known for. And then last but not least, we go down with a nice shingling of our beautiful steak. Oh my goodness. I mean, is there even anything that needs to be said right now? Oh, good gravy. Yes, please. And there we go. That looks like a good amount of steak to me. I think we'll top it with a little bit of our rosemary salt from earlier, just for good measure. Let's top this off with some brie, because it just seems right. You know, this is an ultimate decadent sandwich here. Might as well go all out. Oh, that is looking heavenly. I love brie. If you don't love brie, leave it off. And don't tell me about it in the comments, please. Ooh, perfect coverage. And let's just give that a little help. Nice and melty, and now finally we crown our king. Oh! And that, my friends, is the ultimate steak sandwich. I'm gonna need some help eating this one. Oh my God. I mean, just a steak like that alone is something to excite me, but you add some smoke, a beautiful sear, and then put it on top of some freshly baked focaccia with some brie cheese, arugula, bacon, onion, jam, Dijonaise. Oh, I think it's time to dive in. Evan.
Yes, sir?
Would you like to split this gargantuan steak sandwich?
Yes, I would.
Let's go for it.
Let's go. Oh my, it's so big.
I should have let it proof less, because that is a beast.
How much would you charge for a sandwich? Just this piece.
I mean, you're the numbers guy. You're the restaurateur. You tell me.
This is a $20+ sandwich.
Oh, easy. Clink these.
Boom.
Oh, wow. Whoa. That is a lot of flavor in one bite.
I've never been a focaccia sandwich guy, but it holds up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wasn't either. But I looked up some ciabatta bread recipes, and they take a long time to make.
They do.
So that's why focaccia. This was kind of a last-minute decision here, but whoa. I kind of like that sweetness from the bacon jam, too. It complements all the salty savoriness that's going on.
It's balanced. It's enormously flavorful. The only thing that's a little difficult is, like, steak is hard to eat in a sandwich.
Yeah. You could chop it up, but at that point, it kind of defeats the purpose of using a ribeye, right?
Do you think that putting an amazing piece of steak like this inside of a sandwich lessens it at all? I mean, I feel like sometimes it should just be appreciated like as it is.
Absolutely. But to be honest with you, me cooking steaks alone on YouTube just doesn't do very well. They want to see me really work for it. So that's why the homemade bread and all this stuff. But I am with you on that one. Dude. Like a steak of this magnitude, which is why I only put half of it in the sandwich, because we still got all this
so
bad
good.
boy. The brie cheese is not very noticeable.
No. It's so goddamn incredibly good.
All right, folks. I think we're going to gnaw on this steak, the rest of this bone, and polish these guys off. But we'll check back in a little bit.
Cheers.
All right, y'all. Without further ado, I think it's time for the official taste test. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make an absolutely fantastic ultimate steak sandwich. I highly recommend giving this one a try. You don't need to use a beautiful dry-aged bone-in ribeye to make this sandwich. You can use a skirt or a strip or something choice. You know, do whatever you want to do. But if you haven't had a steak sandwich in a while, I highly recommend it. It's a great change of pace. And if you feel like being extra, getting some high-quality beef from Porter Road and making your own freshly baked bread is always a plus. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.